Most people are comfortable with spending money. But what about investing money? Investing, if done right, is a great opportunity because it allows you to multiply your money without putting in extra hours of work. And in one day, the investment income can even replace your work income. But if you aren't sure what you're doing, investments can certainly bear some degree of risk. And that's why many of my clients and even followers on social media often ask me what and where they should invest in. They hope to get a simple answer. So in this video, I want to share 7 questions to ask yourself before investing in anything. Hey, welcome back. This is Thomas, here to help Canadians make better choices on retirement, wealth, and insurance. My goal is to make sure you can take 1 or 2 ideas home and start making better financial decisions today. If you find this video valuable, please consider subscribing so you will never miss any of my videos. Let's jump into it. The truth is, investment is a very personal choice and the ideal investments are different from each other. There are different types of styles of investing, and what works for one person may not work for another. Think about real estate investing. For example, if you're a hands-on person and enjoy being a landlord, it might be amazing for you. But if you just want something to put your money in and leave it alone, then real estate may not be your thing. The funny thing is, investment has less to do with what kind of return you get and more with how you want to live your life. It's a lifelong lesson, so you have to enjoy it first. So once you have answered to the following 7 questions, you have more clarity on what to invest in. Okay, let's get right into it. Question number 1 is, what is the goal or purpose for my investments? I believe everyone wants more money in their pocket, but the key question is, what do they want to do with that money? Usually, the typical goals are to have more money for your retirement, fund a child's education, travel more, upgrade your home, and so much more. There could be countless motivations to become an investor. What's important is that, do you know what is the expectation of this investment? Because your goal determines the time frame and the return of your investments. It makes a big difference whether the purpose of your investment is long-term or short-term. When you pursue long-term goals such as having a retirement fund or supporting a future kid, then it's usually okay to take more risk, especially if you're young. The reason for that is that even if you lose some money because of risky investment, time is on your side and over time you can more easily recover from recessions. But if your investment goals are more for short terms like getting ready for a new place in 6 months, a recession can mean that you don't achieve your goals. So in the case of short-term goals, you want less volatile investments. This means there are fewer ups and downs and more predictable. To sum up, begin with the end in mind. Get clear on your investment goal first, and then work the math backward and find which investment vehicles can give you the needed rate of return. This helps you stick to your plan without making hasty decisions out of the panic. Then question number 2 is, how much are you willing to lose? Yes, when you invest, it might be much nicer to think about how much money you can make. Yet, the question of how much you are willing to lose is more important. The reason for this is that every investment comes with a risk, and that's the possibility that you lose money at some point. And that's why many experts recommend never invest money that you cannot afford to lose. I always recommend to make sure you have a positive cash flow each month and have your rainy day fund set up first. Once you have that ready, it's time to think, okay, how much of this money would you be comfortable with losing? If you have $1,000 to invest, how do you feel if you lose 100, 200, or 500? Having an answer to this will help you understand how you deal with risk and how risk tolerant you are. The thing is, most human beings naturally have a loss aversion. We're usually more afraid of losing something than we enjoy gaining something. This loss aversion causes many investors to panic. When the stock market reaches a new low, they freak out and they decide to sell the stocks at a loss. The perfect example will be in year 2020. The US stock market was down 30% in less than 4 weeks. And then just when everyone thought this would get even worse, guess what? Everything was recovered in 2 months' time and now is all-time high. So it's a good idea to see what's your attitude towards investment and your risk tolerance overall. The third question you want to ask yourself before investing is, when and why would I sell this investment? This question kind of goes hand in hand with the first question because you have to think about this in advance to avoid selling in a panic. There might be times when you invest in something and the media all your friends and everyone around you tells you that you have to sell now, but it may not align with your goals at all. So create a set of rules for yourself under which circumstances you're allowed to sell your investments ahead of time. This protects you in case the media makes another investment look more exciting. If you don't have your selling rules created, you might sell your initial investment on a whim and hop onto the next thing. A few months later, another investment strategy becomes popular and you have to sell it again. It's a never-ending process. So, to save yourself some headache, stick to your plan. If you know why you are doing it and what you're doing, you won't fear of missing out. The rules you created for yourself could be something simple like, my expectation to own this investment is around 10 years because it's for retirement. Or I will change my investment strategy when I'm down 10%. Now, question number 4 you want to ask yourself before investing is, where do you start your investment? This is important because, to be fair, there are too many choices to begin with. Take stock market for example. You can simply walk into the bank to start with your investment since you already have your checking and saving accounts there and your parents been using them after all. Or you can go to platforms such as Questrade and you operate everything by yourself. You can also hire an advisor to do asset management for you. Or you can join a robo-advisor platform like Wealthsimple to pick and choose for you. Each platform has their own pros and cons, and therefore many people will fall into analysis paralysis. My suggestion is just start with one first, then once you get the hang of it, then choose another revenue. At different times or life stages, that platform you work with are also different as your experience and resources also changes as time goes on. So this is what I believe, an imperfect action is always better than perfect inaction. Question number 5. Am I diversified enough? Or in other words, do you have a risk-taking strategy? Diversification means that you don't put all your money into one single investment. This is very risky because if that one investment fails, you lose all your money. You do not want to bet all your money on one horse. And this is where diversification comes into play. And I have my micro and macro diversification. Let's start with the micro diversification. For example, if you want to invest in stock market, don't invest in stocks from just simply from one company, one industry, or from one location. Rather, you want to create a diverse portfolio. Same in real estate. Most real estate investors start with one property, but they soon buy more in case anything happens with the first property. And as for the macro aspects, I always suggest people should also diversify by having different asset classes. Having different ETF or mutual funds in different sectors are still considered as one asset class. In order to truly diversify, I suggest at least 5 different asset classes: cash, paper assets, real estate, insurance, and commodity. I'm more than happy to explain these types of assets in the future videos. This can work well because even if one of the market is down, you can still rely on your other investments. The downside is that you have to organize all your different investments and you have to learn different strategies for all of them. In other words, it will take more time. But that's exactly why it's so important to think about this early on. If you're someone who wants to invest as little time as possible in their investments, then your diversification strategy will look different for someone who has more time. No matter what you decide to do, make sure you diversify somehow to lower your risk of losing money. Okay, so what is the question number 6 that you want to ask before you invest? And it is, what is my tax strategy for my investments? Yes, when we invest, we also have to think about taxes, especially we live in Canada, one of the countries that can legally take 50% of your saving. Just because you make a lot of your investments, what counts in the end is how much of the money you can keep, and the last thing you want is to pay a hefty tax. Let me explain how this works. In Canada, there are 3 major investment taxes you need to pay. First, we have the capital gain tax. If you sell any kind of assets, such as stocks, bonds, or real estate, for a price that exceeds the purchase price, this is called a capital gain, and 50% of the capital gain will be taxed. And here's an example. Let's say you bought an asset for $100,000 and now you sell it for $200,000. Your capital gain is $100,000, and that 50% of the gain, which is the $50,000, will add towards the income and push your tax bracket even higher. But what if I just let my investment, such as stock or mutual fund, to sit and grow? Yes, you can do that, but each year these investments will build interest or distribute dividends, and those too you have to pay tax as well. Now, there are a few ways how you can lower your tax bills in Canada. The most common solution will be using a tax shelter plan such as RSP and tax-free saving. And let me briefly mention what they are. TFSA is an account that lets you use your after-tax money to invest, and any investment income produced, including interest, dividends, and capital gain, are tax-free. Therefore, for extreme cases, if you literally can make $1 million in your tax-free saving, not only you don't have to pay a dime to the CRA, but you also consider as low income and receive extra benefits from the government. Vice versa, the money that you put into the RSP is deducted from your taxable income. Therefore, you are using pre-tax money to invest and can efficiently offset huge foreseeable capital gains. The downside, all the money produced are 100% considered as income upon withdrawal. And again, I made a whole YouTube video series on RSP and tax-free saving account, so make sure to watch them for further information. This gets us to the last question, which is, do I have someone to talk to and learn from them? As I mentioned before, sometimes it's best if we just talk to someone who already has experience with investments. They can give us valuable advice we wouldn't know otherwise. And sometimes it can be an investment community such as an online forum. Still, make sure you talk to someone who has proper experience. Plus, preferably talk to someone who has similar goals to you. But be mindful though, a lot of people will only share their one huge victory, but they will not share the rest of the 9 investments that cost them money. Once you find a person that you can trust, make sure to ask clever questions and absorb any lessons they can give to you. Everyone has their own opinions about their strategies. It's great to use them as reference, but at the end, you have to make your own decisions, because after all, it's your own money. Now, I hope you found these 7 questions helpful. Like I said in the beginning, investing is a lifelong lesson, so just learn one thing new each day. More importantly, take action and learn from the mistakes, and eventually, you'll be your own investment guru. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Can you tell me, what is one investment mistake that you made before? Put it down in the comments below so we can learn from each other. This is Thomas, and I will see you in the next video.